Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Headmaster Skullcruncher. So this is a reissue of the Skullcruncher that was released a few years ago for the Titans Return line. So if you didn't get a chance to pick him up then, now is your chance if you are so inclined. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and bring that packaging in like we always do. We'll move Skullcruncher on over here. And we'll bring that box in. This box does have the G1 retro style look to it, so really cool. I always enjoyed these. It very much reminds me of my childhood. So right up here at the top, you get a very simplistic rendition of the transformation, and it even tells you there, see instructions for the full conversion steps. And right here on the front, you have Headmaster Skullcruncher, and he comes with Grax, the Headmaster. You have the Transformers, the old style logo there, and you've got the old G1 style artwork right there on the side. And right here, you have a couple of product shots of Skullcruncher in both of his modes with Grax. On the back, you have that G1 inspired artwork, which I just love. I can't get enough of this. I would love to have a poster of it. So you've got the old phrase here, it is a world of constant change where things are not what they seem. It is the world of the Transformers, a world of heroic Autobots and evil Decepticons. And down here you get his very brief bio. So function, he is a swamp warrior. Autobots are like bad fuel, weak and greasy. Has a habit of grinding his teeth before he strikes, annoying his friends and tipping off his enemies. And then you have the little graph over here showing his strength, intelligence, speed, and firepower. Over here you have all of your warnings. You get the sad baby. It is Transformers Authentic. On the other side, you have the same product shots. And we already took a quick look at the top, and there's the bottom with some manufacturing information and a couple more product shots. So that's it for the outside of the packaging, and let's talk about what came in there. First things first, you get your little page of warnings. Oh, happy day. And you get your, I flip in the correct orientation, you get your instructions. So again, G1 inspired. This is a pretty simplistic transformation, so I don't really know if anybody's going to use the instructions, but they're there. Okay, and the last two items before we get into Skullcruncher himself, we'll talk about his accessories. So starting off first and foremost with his rifle. So not a lot to talk about here. I mean, this is a non-painted, relatively decently detailed rifle. Nothing too exciting there. And then you get his tail. And so you've got a couple of paint apps right there. Give it a little bit of pop right there. Make it nice. You do have this little cannon right there. And on the inside, you've got a little bit of molded in detail. And you do have this port right here, which is your weapon storage in his crocodile mode. So you just plug the gun in right there. And then that just completes the look of the tail. So, yeah, accessories are all right. Let's go ahead and bring Skullcruncher in for his close-up, and we'll take a look at all of his details. And we'll start on that Headmaster head sculpt right there. And that is shades of Scorponok. I think overall it looks pretty good, though. Come down here to the chest. Get a little bit of paint there, that silver and that red. And you come down to the Croco abs. And then down here, the crotch and the upper legs, you get some decent molded in detail. Get down here to the rest of the legs, the lower legs, and those tiny little toes. And over here on the side, you can see the crocodile legs hanging off the side there. Lift these up out of the way so you can take a look at the sides of the body. And we'll take a look at those arms. So you do have a port there, which is, I think, incidentally effects compatible. And then you get that big old gator claw or crocodile claw. I'm not sure if he is an alligator or a crocodile. I'm going with crocodile on this. If he's something different, apologies. And then there you have the hands. And on the back, oh my gosh, he's got a big old crocodile head on his back. And he does have the hollow areas back here, but this is due to transformation and also due to the fact that this is a many years old mold at this point now with engineering that's not quite as new as some of the better stuff that they're putting out now. So, but it is what it is. Doesn't look too bad, really. All right, so we'll stand him up real quick. I will say one caveat on this guy is when he's not holding his weapons, I find him a little top heavy where he wants to fall backwards. So I have to keep him in a bit of a chicken leg stance. So the legs are kind of bent backwards a little bit, kind of like Starscream, in order to keep him balanced because there's just so much crocodile head hanging off the back. Not a complaint, just something for you to be aware of. Alright, so for articulation, you get a little bit of side to side on that Headmaster, you get a little bit of up and down on that Headmaster, and you can go all the way around. And at the shoulder, these shoulders are on ball joints, so you actually get a little bit, I don't want to call it a butterfly, but you get a little bit of motion this direction as well, so you can help angle that overall look of that arm. You don't get much coming up. You get a little bit coming down, but right there is where it just hits the rest of the shoulder and stops. So most of the shoulder rotation happens right here. So you can bring that shoulder up until he hits himself in the head. And then you can go all the way around with that. You do get upper bicep rotation right there, so you can go all the way around. And the elbows, oh, hold on, squeeze the hand in. The elbows, you can get right at a 90 on that. And then right here, you get, I guess you want to call that forearm rotation, or you could use that for wrist rotation. And then at the hands themselves, there is nothing at the hands other than just tilting them in for your transformation, but you can take advantage of that to angle those hands any way you want. All right, now he does have waist rotation, and he will do the splits that far. And he will bring his, he can kick forward that far and kick backward that far. So good amount of motion, a good range of motion on those legs. He does have upper thigh rotation. And at the knees, you can pretty much bend these as far as you like because this is for transformation. So you can get pretty extreme with those knee bends. The only thing that he has at the feet are these tiny little toes, and I think these purely serve a decorative purpose. You can't do a whole lot at all with these tiny little toes. So he's pretty much stuck. Oh, right there, he looks like he's, oh, I'm Frankenstein. Oh, sorry. So he's pretty much stuck with whatever the foot stance is down here. All right. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get into transformation, and we'll take him into his crocodile mode. Alright, so the first thing that you want to do is you're going to need to decapitate him. So off with his head, pull that off, send it off to the side, and then you're just going to fold these hands up, get those out of your way on either side. And about the only quote-unquote tricky part of this transformation is you're going to bring these shoulders up, and you're going to put them at an angle approximately like that. And the reason I say approximately is because you're going to lock these in here shortly. You have, on the head itself, you have a tab here and a tab here that are going to line up with these two slots. So you're going to bring this head around, and when you do, this is going to kind of be your master template here to get these lined up where they should be. So you can see once you get that lined up, the head is going to fit right into those slots right there. So you just kind of have to fiddle a little bit with both sides until you get those lined up. And then once you get them lined up, it locks in really nicely. It's a good clean lock right there. And then for the rest of the arms, you just tilt these at the shoulders, tilt those 90 degrees. Then you can bend the elbow and tilt these how you see fit. So that way you can angle those, ultimately those crocodile claws, whichever way you want them. All right, and then down here for the legs, you can flip these little decorative toes in, and then you will just flip these legs and bring them in like that. And then once you do, you have a tab and a slot, and you can just squeeze these together. Give it a good squeeze. And down there in that area, same thing. Give it a good squeeze. I say that. Let me try it this way. Squeeze them together beforehand. Just not the easiest thing to want to stay together. There we go. Alright, there we go. That's better. Alright, and then just flip that over and you should have something like that. Sorry about that, guys. And then you just take the tail, grab your rifle, plug your rifle in, and then right here you have this port that will line up to this post, and then you can just stick that on, flare the legs out however you see fit, and there you have Skullcruncher in his crocodile mode. Just trying to get everything looking good. Let's see how this foot over here looks. It's still a little crooked. There we go. All right. So, let me get him in frame. So there you have Skullcruncher in his crocodile mode. Yeah, I think overall this thing looks pretty cool. I like him. So what you can do with your little headmaster here with Grax, you can unfold Grax, and I just realized I hadn't shown his detail yet, so let's take a good look at his little head. Try to get that a little closer so you can see it. I don't know if I'm going to get good focus on that, guys. Looks like that's probably going to be about the best right there. Not a whole lot to see on this guy. He's just a headmaster. You can bring his little arms up, and you can flare him out a little bit. And then for the legs, you can put him in a sitting position. Of course, you could bring him up all the way because he's a headmaster, right? So you could do that. Or you could just have him standing up and get a little bend that way. Totally up to you. So for the crocodile mode for Grax, you can have him just kind of put him in that sitting position, and on Skullcruncher right here you have this little area. Just push this down with your fingernail, tail comes off, and you have a little cockpit in there for Grax. And you just stick him in the cockpit, close that up, and he is good to go. Now let me put the tail back on. Alright, so I gotta say, this guy, he wants to do this pretty easily, so sorry if I keep hitting that and knocking him off the crocodile look. Okay, so in this mode, let's go ahead and talk about comparisons, and the first comparison that I want to bring in is the most obvious, I think. Let's go ahead and we'll bring in the G1 version of Skullcruncher. So there, those two together, you can see how they look. Definitely a lot of inspiration there from G1 to this version. So we'll put these guys head to head so you can see. And, you know, absolutely, I mean, even the stickers right over here match up really well to these stickers. Down here, the little gold areas on the feet. So, yeah, a lot of good inspiration there. The one thing that I like on the new one, well, more than one thing, but one of the things that I like on the new one is if you look here, he has little guns built into his crocodile feet, which are cool. All right, and just show them from the back. All right, and tail to tail. All right, so I'm going to leave him in here for a moment because I want to talk about some of the details in the crocodile mode here, the details in the articulation. Particularly, I'll bring him in so we can get a good look at him. And I like the overall look here. I like the scales and the little bit of the fins. I think it all looks really good, comes together really well in this mode. I like that head sculpt. There he is from the bottom. So even from the bottom, there's real no obvious robot stuff going on here, except maybe the robot legs sticking out. But I think overall, it came out really well. And the other thing that's pretty impressive is you open this mouth, and you do get a nicely detailed crocodile tongue, and you get those silver teeth. Detail up top. So yeah, I think for the most part it's pretty well done. Now for articulation, as you can see, of course, the mouth will open that wide. You can close the mouth. The head is on a ball joint, so you can lift it up that far, down that far, do some side to side. You can get some tilt out of it. You could take it all the way around if you want. That looks kind of freaky. And here at the shoulders slash crocodile hands, you get this elbow bend right here. You can get a little bit of twist at the shoulder. You can get twist right here, and you can adjust these claws. You do get the waist rotation that you can use in the crocodile mode as well. So if you want to get some different poses, you could do that. And back here at these feet, as I stated earlier, they flare out. You can bring them back in, and you can rotate them just about anywhere you want them to be. The other cool thing is because this tail sits on this post, you get a degree of posability with this tail as well. So you can kind of give him that kind of curved, like he's coming in for the attack kind of look, which I think is really cool. So yeah, overall, I like this alt mode, this Croc mode. I think it looks really nice. The reason I wanted to keep him in here for that was, aside from the obvious, Grax in the new version stores right here in this area. In the old version, Grax stores right in the mouth. And what we can do is we'll do a quick comparison between Graxes, between the Headmasters, so you can see that. So we will pull the new Grax out and pull the old Grax out. And the first thing that you'll notice is there is a significant size difference between the two Headmasters. So the old guys were definitely much larger. And I do have to say, you know, old Grax, he's got some abs. New Grax, he just has a huge belly button. So congrats to you for having a nice pack of abs there. Alright, and on the back, we'll take a look at the two faces. So you can see on the new Grax, he has that red Scorponok visor look, whereas the old Grax was just an unpainted black visor look. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop old Grax back in. Close him up and say thank you. We will see you for the robot mode comparison. Alright, so let's get him straightened back out. I'm just going to leave Grax out. I'm just going to set him off to the side here. What we'll do is I'll put the tail on. I've got a couple other comparisons in the crocodile mode, and then we'll get back to bot mode. So the next one that I want to bring in, this is really just because I think it's silly and fun. I'm going to bring in one of the tiny baby T-Rexes that you get with the Studio Series Drift. Sorry, I almost forgot his name. So let's go ahead and put those two guys side by side so you can see. And I think advantage goes to the Skullcruncher here. And yeah, I just got to know, is he gonna... Yeah, he could totally make that happen. Yeah, sorry baby T-Rex, but you're lunch now. Oh yeah, that just happened. Yeah, death roll. Ooh, oh, he got away. All right, so the next comparison is going to be the Alicon from Earthrise. Just because, you know, he's an alligator-ish based figure, and this is a crocodile-based figure, so there you go. All right, so enough of that. Now we will go ahead and get Skullcruncher transformed back to his robot mode, and we'll do some more comparisons there. So if you haven't already done so, be sure to take Grax out of the cockpit so he's not in your way, and then take that tail off while you're here, just because it's easier now to go ahead and take that gun, pull that gun out. And then you can turn your attention back to Skullcruncher, and just, if the mouth is open, squeeze the mouth closed, lift this up, and then bring that back out of your way. Flip these legs down and split them. Now for the alligator or the crocodile feet, you can see these little indentations, and then those feet just fit right into those indentations. So squeeze those against the legs and they will line up right where they need to be with those indentations. And then you're all set except for the decorative toes, which are a little difficult to get out, especially if you don't have fingernails or a tool to get them out. It can be a bit of a pain. But now that you're here, then you can just take these shoulders and bring those shoulders down, and then turn the upper bicep inward, flip those claws up, bring those fists out, bring the elbows down, and then you're just straightening those arms out however you see fit. So turn that, claws out, hands out, elbows down, and there you go. All right, I'm going to try to make sure that he stands, because like I said, he's a little top heavy on the backward side. So take your Grax and fold Grax up into his Headmaster mode. Plug him in to that port right there, and just make sure that the Croc head is tucked away. And there you have Skullcruncher back in his robot mode. So real quick, we'll talk about the accessories. Not a whole lot to it really. You have one hand, you plug a gun into it. You have the other hand, and you have a port right there, or a post, and you plug that into the other hand. And there you have Skullcruncher holding his rifle and his big tail club thing that he's got going on there. And if you want, you can lift this up, and then he's got a gun that he can use. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk about doing some comparisons with this guy. So let's put these down a little bit so he's standing a little bit straight. And let's bring in some of those comparisons. All right, so for comparison, I figure we would go ahead and start just like we did for the alligator mode, or the crocodile mode, excuse me. We'll go ahead and start with G1 Skullcruncher, so you can see how those two guys look together. And you can definitely see where the inspiration came from between those two guys. All right, and we'll move him on out of the way. And we'll bring in the Earthrise Alicon, so you can see a crocodile and an alligator together. See how those two guys look. All right, move him on out of the way. And then we'll bring in Highbrow, who is a fellow Headmaster reissue from this line. See how he looks next to Highbrow. Move him on out of the way, and then we'll bring in Weird Wolf, who again is a fellow Headmaster reissue. See how those two guys look together. And I bet those two guys are fun to party with. All right, and last comparison, just because I think it's funny, I'm bringing in Killer Croc from the Batman universe, just so you can see how he looks compared to somebody else. All right, so that's it for the comparison. So what we'll do now is we will go ahead and get these guys out of the way, and I'll give you my final thoughts on Skullcruncher, and we'll wrap this thing up. All right, guys, so my final thoughts on the Transformers Headmaster Skullcruncher. This figure was originally released a few years ago under the Titans Return line, and frankly speaking, it's showing its age. The design and the engineering are not up to today's standards. And from a personal standpoint, my copy has loose leg joints, which make it really difficult for him to pose even on the best of days. But when you couple it with the heavy backpack that he carries, I find posing this guy to be almost a task. It detracts from the fun overall. All that being said, I think that the alt mode, the crocodile mode for this figure looks great. I really enjoy it. I love the look of it, and I think that's probably going to be how I display him on my shelf, is going to be in his alt mode, in the crocodile mode. So this is a $20 figure, US dollars, and because of that price point, I can give a soft recommendation to this figure, particularly if you did not pick him up during the original run with Titan's Return and you enjoy the Headmaster line, particularly these reissues, then you will enjoy this guy. There's good playability with him there, and I think for the most part the pluses outweigh the minuses. So to wrap it up, I would give him a soft recommendation. Just buyer beware of some of the engineering and design limitations, and the fact that, you know, hopefully it's not systemic and it doesn't show up on your copy, but just be wary that you may have loose leg joints, which may cause some posability issues. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap the review up and let you get on with your day. As I always say at the end of these, thanks for watching. If you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button or that Rumble button if you're watching us on Rumble, and leave us some comments. Let us know what you want to see. We're trying to expand the channel here and bring some more things to you that you guys might be interested in. So be sure to drop us a line and let us know what you think, what we could be doing to make the channel better, and the kind of things that you want to see us review here. So with that, I'll wrap it up. Thanks again for watching, guys. Until next time, take care.